Hello and welcome back. I am Babu, your instructor for this unit. Any ERP solution that you deliver to customers is never a 100% fitment. There are always customers specific requirements ranging from simple ones, for example a new field, change in attribute properties etc., to complex requirements like building a whole new functionality. A standard product like SAP Business by Design would not address very specific requirements of the customers, but it is important that these requirements are addressed by partners and to some extent by key users, so that SAP is able to reach the last mile. In this unit, I shall give an overview of how to extend the Business by Design standard solution. Okay. So, Cloud Application Studio's extensibility feature is a tool for partners that help them to achieve varied needs of customers, ranging from a simple addition of extension field to a business component, propagating it to standard UIs and multiple other entities like data sources, forms, web services etc., and controlling the properties of UI fields, actions etc. SAP Public Solution Model, in short PSM, contains all entities in SAP Cloud Solution that are released for use and to be extended by external consumers. We just saw in previous chapter how business configuration was extended. Similarly, we can extend some of the PSM entities like business objects, UIs, enterprise search, web services etc. Let us talk about the extension of UIs, as these are the major objects where extensions are done. User interfaces are built and extended in UI Designer tool that is integrated with Cloud Application Studio for you. UI Designer provides a view called Extensibility Explorer to allow extensions. To extend a particular section on standard UIs, we need stable anchors on it, which is provided by SAP. If you do not find an anchor on your area which you want to control, you can raise incident to SAP and request for the same. Once the anchor is there, the Extensibility Explorer view in the UI Designer allows you to extend the user interface. In this unit, I will talk two scenarios and demonstrate the capability of extensibility in Cloud Application Studio. The first scenario is creating an extension field on the business object and adding it to a standard Business by Design UI, and the second scenario is we will see how the properties of UI elements like input field, labels or tabs can be controlled based on a business role assigned to the user, which means that a field on a UI is enabled for one user but disabled for another user. So, let me now demonstrate the extension features. Continuing with our use case of internal job search, let us say the hiring manager has selected some employees for a job and he wants to order monitor or laptop before the employee joins. The manager should mention the job ID in the purchase order so that it is clear that the purchasing is done for the newly hired employee. So, let us go into the system and do this. Okay, so this is my studio, Cloud Application Studio. Let us start. The solution is already opened. We did business configuration here. So, right click on the solution and add a new item, which is a business configuration extension object. So, we are extending purchase order business object here. So, let us call it purchase order and the extension .xpo file will be created. So, let me select the namespace where purchase order exists, okay, the purchase order, and then I click on OK. So, it will take a while. It has created a XBO file in the add-on, you can see at the bottom, and by default you see the root node has appeared for purchase order and the item node, because these are the nodes that are extensible. I have added the element job ID to extend this business object. So, I have added a job ID to it. Let us activate so that the changes are reflected. It takes a while to activate. Okay, so, once it is activated, the runtime objects are generated in the backend, and this extension field will then be available to be used in the user interface which are related to purchase order. So, right click on the purchase order XBO and say I want to extend enhance screens, and I will now say I want to enhance POIF change object, which is my object instance floor plan for purchase order. Click OK, it will load the screen in the UI Designer. Okay, once the screen is loaded, this pop up, as I mentioned, you have to click say OK. yes, please use the Extensibility Explorer to edit. Okay, so we are in the UI designer. So I will then extend the section general information. So in this section I will add a new field job ID. So let me select this and say add extension field to section group. So I selected the anchor. So what I selected on the right side was anchor. So you see the job ID appears here. After activation I can select it and say apply. So once click on apply, it will create a change transaction, which the pop-up says it is visible only once it is saved. So I will now save and activate my user interface, and once it is activated you will be able to see the job ID extension field on a standard purchase order UI. Okay, so now let us see here. Now job ID is visible on the UI. So this is where we do. Now let us go and check in the system. I am logged in as an admin user. Let us go and create a new purchase order and specify the value for this extension field. Okay, so for purchase order I need to enter a supplier, and I will enter the minimal data so that the purchase order has some set of information. So let us enter a supplier as 100100, and I will add an item to the purchase order, which is, let us say hiring manager wants to order a monitor for the employee who has been hired. Okay, so to select the right item, and then let us mention the quantity as well, quantity and price, give a price to this. I will also specify the cost center, so for the sake of completeness of purchase order, and yeah, so I use the finance cost center. So this was the QF screen of purchase order, and we will now navigate to OIF after entering the recipient details. So let us go to the OIF, where we would be able to see the job ID extension field which we have added. So it takes a while to load the OIF instance. Okay, so here we go. Now you can see the screen is loading and the job ID field is visible for you. You can enter the data for this, and with this you can save the purchase order. Okay, so the purchase order is now saved. So this basically explains that how extension field added to the business object is now added to the UI. Now I will show you another scenario. Let us say the user creating the purchase order should not see the price of the laptop or the monitor in the purchase order. The hiring manager is not supposed to see the prices, they are just supposed to order. So how to make this UI flexible based on the business role? Yeah, so here we go. So now from here we will create a UI switch, and this okay, we will add a new item. Okay, we will add a new UI switch. This UI switch is basically a phenomenon through which we can achieve the role based flexibility on the screen. So I give it, so hiring manager role is my name of my UI switch that I will see in my solution. So this is a UI switch for role hiring manager. Okay. Once it is created, you will see a UI switch file, and then let us open the OIF file or XOIF component of purchase order in the UI designer to manipulate the properties of the attributes, or rather to hide the prices tab for the hiring manager. So I will select the appropriate anchor and say adjust the properties. So click on prices. Okay, click on the UI switch. I selected my UI switch. Click on the price. I will say false. The visible property is false, and say OK. Now the change transaction is created. I will save and activate. This will now activate the change transaction. So this is activated. Now you can see the change transaction is created under the adjust properties, which is green, which means it is now active. Okay, now let us go to the UI here and let us create a business role. We will assign it to the user, business user of role hiring manager, and then we will see how it works. So, I will create a new role, let us say called hiring manager. Okay, this role should be visible to the employee. I have already created an employee called hiring manager. So, do not get confused, hiring manager is also an employee and the name of the role as well. I will assign this role some work center views. So, as I said, hiring manager would create purchase orders for the hired employees. So, I will assign the purchase request and orders work center view, work center to the hiring manager. So, I assign it, and also I will assign the add-on work centers, basically our job profile, job applications view as well to the hiring manager. So, let me search my hiring managers, let me search sorry my work center views. So, yeah, so the work center views are there. Job application is the one that I will want to assign, and also the job profile. You can see multiple job profile because there are other add-ons were also created by some users. Well, so now job profile is there. I will look for the job applications as well, yeah, so which belongs to this add-on. So, I select this and it start working in the backend. So, now I will assign the job profile as well. Once this is assigned, I will save this configuration, and so once it is saved, yeah, I can close it. So, now I have assigned the role. I have created a particular role, but I forgot to assign the UI switch to the role. So, we have to go again into the UI business role. So, let us go to the UI switches tab here. Okay, so, now I will find my UI switch that I created in the add-on. So, let us do F4 help and type the Y name of your solution and star. Now, it is visible, you can select, and yeah. So, this is the UI switch that is assigned to the business role hiring manager, and we will activate it. So, the business role once it is active, it can be assigned to the business user. So, let us confirm the data and then close it. Yeah, it is active. Let us go to the business user now, and here I will assign the business role that I created to the business user. So, my business user is hiring manager, access rights. You will see the role assignment. Now, you see hiring manager here because we added this employee to the role hiring manager and assign this role to the user now. Okay, save, close, done. So, now we can test basically. So, this is the admin user which is logged in. So, let us try to check the purchase order data using admin, whether the prices tab is visible for admin user or not. So, let us open a purchase order, and you can see the prices tab is visible for this user because this is admin user, this does not have the role hiring manager. Let us log off and log in again with the user hiring manager who has the role hiring manager, because this UI switch is assigned to the hiring manager role. Okay, so let me enter the password and log on. You will see those work centers that we assigned also. So, basically purchase requests, orders and others. So, let us go to the same purchase order now and open it and see whether it shows up the prices tab or not. Click on edit. So, it opens the OF floor plan of purchase order, and here you will see that the prices tab is not visible for this employee. This is because the UI switch is assigned to this business role. Okay. So, with this we come to an end of this demonstration. Okay, so with this we come to the end of the unit as well. Let us have a Let us have a quick recap of what we learned in this unit. We learned what is extensibility about and why it is important. We touched upon the UI extensibility with the help of UI Designer and Extensibility Explorer, how to extend a BO and the UI with the extension field. Lastly, we also saw how can we control the properties of UI elements based on the business role. Hope this session was useful, and please try the scenario with hands-on exercise for this unit. Thank you and see you in the next unit. Have a great day. Bye bye.